Hello everyone, welcome back to Code with Beto. Super excited to be here back again with you guys with another video. And in today's video, we are going to learn how to create this minimalistic application that is going to allow us to upload videos and images to Firebase storage, okay? So let's see the demo. Here I can select, as you can see, we have two icons for images and for videos. So that means that we support both. I'm going to select images for now. And one thing that I want to show you guys before I select one of these images is that if I reload the application, you're gonna see that we don't have anything. But if I select an image, let's select this one. Let's just drag and drop a little bit, choose this image. We're going to see these nice blur effects and the uploading status of the image. And I have here a scroll view. I didn't want to put this inside the safe area view. I think it looks cooler like that when there's a lot of images. And as well, we are following a design that was provided to me, and I'm going to show it to you in a moment. But now let's choose a video. I'm going to select the video icon. And as you can see, I'm just filtering everything, just showing videos. And I'm going to select this video of the time I went to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium here in Atlanta, Georgia. I can play this video for a little bit, as you can see. And once we are sure that this is the video that we want to upload, we can select choose. And this is going to take a little longer. And we don't see the video as well here in the preview. But as soon as the video is finished uploading, you're gonna see that the video is here and the video is automatically playing. It's gonna play just once. But let's continue and select more files. So I'm going to select this image. I'm going to choose it. We're going to see that the images are uploaded quickly. Let's select this one. We can also edit a little bit these images. For example, if I want to zoom in and then choose, the image is going to be saved like that, as you can see here. And yeah, we can select the other video here. I'm going to just choose the video. And this is going to take a while. Now, important thing to notice here is that all these files are being saved in our Firebase storage account. So now to make sure that they are saved, let's reload the application. And you're going to see that in a moment we have the files that we just saved. Okay, let me show you here my Firebase account. And as you can see, I have this project. And if I reload here, you're gonna see that now we have it's five documents here in this Firestore cloud, and as well we have 5 files here. So I'm saving this in a folder called stuff. As you can see here, I'm gonna make this a little bigger. Select the folder stuff, and as you can see, we have 5 files, which are the files that we just uploaded. Now, this is basically what we're gonna be doing, guys. So we can continue uploading more and more photos here, but you have to be careful because Firebase has a free limit of 1 GB per day of bandwidth, I believe. So let's go back here again and let's go to the usage. As you can see here, I have used 60 megabytes, but my bandwidth it's 1.3 gigabytes. So you want to be careful with this, because if you go beyond 1.3 gigabytes, if you are in the free tier like me, your project is going to be shut down and you are not going to be able to keep saving files. But if you are paying, you are going to start paying more after you pass the 1.3 gigabytes. Okay, and you can learn more about the billing process and how the price is working with Firebase and the plans in their official website. Okay, cool. So now before we actually start with the video, I just want to tell you guys that if you want to download the code of this application, you can do so in codewithbeto.dev. This is the local host, as you can see here, and I'm showing you the local host because here is the project that we are going to be building today. So as soon as I release this video, this is going to be available in production. So let's select this Firebase project. And this is another video, so don't pay too much attention to that. But an important thing here is that you can select between Spanish and English if you speak Spanish. You can select the video in Spanish and English. If you didn't know, I have two channels, one in Spanish, one in English. But if you scroll down here, you're gonna find all the dependencies that we are going to be using for this project. So make sure that you come here and just copy them if you want to follow along with me. If you just want to download the code, you can select this GitHub button or simply download it directly from here, okay? Cool, and once you are here as well, I want that you check out the React Native course. If you want to truly master React Native, check out my React Native course here at codewithbeto.dev. And yeah, we are, in the course, we learn many things. We learn how to use Firebase as well. We have a completely section for Firebase. And yeah, this is basically what I wanted to tell you guys before we start. And another thing is that we are gonna be using this template and this design to create our application. I'm going to leave this link here. If you go to projects and then Firebase, you're gonna see that we have this Figma design link. So you can come here if you want to play with the design, and you can simply duplicate this project or just check it out here. Here we have basically the screens that we are going to be using. And if you want to use this SVG as well, you can come here and duplicate this file that was provided by me by the Echo Studios team. Echo Studios, it's a software agency, and I have here their landing page. It's really cool. If you need a design or an application, a web page, you can go to echostudios.dev and contact them, and they can help you to build your project. So they provide me with this nice design, as you can see here. So we are gonna try to make this application to look as possible, okay? Okay, and now that all this is out of the way, guys, we can actually start building this project. Okay, guys, so for this application, we're gonna be using React Native Expo. So let's actually start by creating a new project. So I'm gonna say npx create expo app. This is the command to initialize a new application. And now we can specify the name of this application. For this tutorial, I'm just gonna say tutorial storage and hit enter. This is going to start our project. Now, I want to go ahead, and while this is being done, I'm going to bring here my Firebase account. So let's start by creating a new project. If you don't have a Firebase account, you're gonna need to create one so you can access this, so you can connect your application to your backend account and then start uploading images and videos, okay? So let's hit add new project here. And for this project, I'm just gonna say tutorial storage and hit continue. I'm going to deselect this, let me just bring this here so you can see actually. I'm going to disable this Google Analytics for now and hit create project. This is gonna take a moment or two. And while this is being done, we can access here the folder that we just created, which is going to be cd tutorial storage, hit enter. I'm gonna clear my terminal, and now we can run this shortcut, which is code dot, to open this folder on Visual Studio Code. So let's hit enter. Okay guys, and here we have the new project already working. And as you can see, we don't have anything here, just a simple project, brand new. And if I go back to my Firebase console, you're gonna see that the project tutorial storage is ready. So I'm gonna hit continue, and I'm gonna be redirect back to this specific project, okay? Now here, you're gonna need to habilitate or activate the features that you are gonna be using in your application. So as you can see, or as you know, if you have used Firebase before, you can have authentication, Firestore, real-time database, storage, hosting, functions, and many things more. So for this tutorial, I'm gonna be using storage. And for storage, we just need to select storage and then get started. And here, if you are going to have this project already working on production, you need to select production mode and set some rules here so no one is going to hack you. And for now, I'm just gonna start this on test mode, which is going to put the default security rules to be just to allow read and write to anyone. Okay, so you just gotta be careful with this. So once this is done, I'm going to hit next here, and we need to select the cloud storage location in which we want to have this project. So I'm going to just leave the US Central. I think it's the closest one to me. And hit done, and this is going to activate this in our project here in Firebase. So it's gonna take a couple of seconds. While this is done, I guess we can actually go ahead and copy the dependencies that we are gonna be using. So you go to code-with-beto.dev and copy these dependencies and come back to the project and actually paste them, okay? Paste them here. Now I'm going to explain to you what each of these dependencies do. So expo AV, and I can actually show you if I copy this and paste it here. Expo AV basically allows us to have video, audio, and many things. Here you can see what else you can have, for example, audio, sound, and basically work with media, okay? So for the videos that we're gonna be displaying here, we're gonna need this Expo AV. And apart from that, we're gonna need Firebase. We're gonna be using the SDK. And then, of course, Expo also has a really nice, Expo Firebase, a really nice guide of how you can install and use the Firebase SDK with Expo. So you can come here and just follow these instructions. This is basically what we're gonna be doing to connect the Firebase application with the React Native project, okay? We also have Expo Dev Client because we are gonna be using this community blur dependency. Now, we are gonna be using Figma to reference the design that was provided to us by Eco Studios. So yeah, as you can see here, in this part, we have this nice blur effect. And this is not easy to achieve without using any third-party dependency with React Native. So that's why we need to install this React Native community blur dependency. But this blur is gonna use native code. So that's why we need to make the build of our application, or in other words, we're not gonna be using Expo Go, but we're gonna make the build of the application so we can use this blur and test everything as it was in production mode. Okay, I hope that makes sense. We're gonna need as well React Native SVG, because as you can see here in the design, we have this cool SVG when we don't have anything yet. So we're gonna be copying this SVG and then translate this to work on React Native. As well, we're gonna be using Expo Image Picker, which is going to allow us to open the library of images in the device, okay? So now that we know what these dependencies are for, we can hit enter and wait until this is installed. Cool. So now let's actually go to the Firebase project. And as you can see here, the bucket or the storage is ready. Okay, so now let's open this sidebar. As you can see here, we have this storage activated. Now we need to activate Firebase Firestore database, okay? Now, one important thing to notice here is that you don't really need to have a Firestore cloud activated for this application, but I would recommend that you keep track of everything that you save in the storage so you can reference it later, okay? So we are gonna be creating a document every time we upload something to the storage. So we are gonna need to create a database, okay? So let's start this with the test mode, hit next, And the location of my cloud Firestore is gonna be United States, and hit enable. Okay, now this is enabling the database for our application. Now, this is just a warning that is telling me that we are not going to be able to change the location of this cloud storage once we select it, but that's okay. Don't worry, you can select just the one that is closest to you and hit enable. Okay, now this is going to take a little, I think. Okay, something went wrong actually. I don't know why. Let me try to reload this. Okay, and as you can see here, we can see that this project is set up to use Cloud Firestore in data store mode. I believe that because we activated storage before Cloud Firestore, this was created in the Google Cloud Console. So let's hit this button that says go to Google Cloud Console. And here, because we don't have anything, we are going to have this like alert that says that since we don't have anything in this database, we can still switch back to the Cloud Firestore in native mode and get more features. So let's select here, switch to native mode, and hit switch no modes. And that's it. Got it. So now we can close this and come back here and reload. Okay, and the Cloud Firestore is activated and working perfectly. Cool. So now let's go to the project here. The dependencies that we need are installed, and now I can run this project. Now, one important thing is that, like I mentioned before, when I clear my terminal, like I mentioned before, we're gonna need to build this application because we're gonna be using the Blur library that uses native code. So how can we build this project? We can simply run npx expo prebuild. What this command does is basically going to generate the native project for Android and for iOS. So I'm going to select the identifiers that they give me by default. Okay. We select these identifiers, and now, like magic, we have this Android and iOS folder in the Explorer. Okay. So basically we have the native iOS project and the native Android project. Now, once this is done, we need to wait a little bit because it's installing the CocoaPods for iOS. Okay, and that's ready. That was a little quick. Now we can actually build this application. So now we can run the command npx expo run iOS. Because we are going to be working with iOS, but you can use Android if you want. And I'm going to say no here. I'm going to actually cancel this because I'm using this server here. I'm going to stop it. And now we can actually run this again. So we use the port 8080. It doesn't really matter, but yeah, you can use, I don't want to have two projects running at the same time. Now this is gonna take a little while, so I'm going to minimize this for now. And while this is working, we can actually start working on the application. But now the first thing that I want to do is actually connect my backend with my frontend or with my React Native application. And we can do that by hitting this little icon and go to the project settings. And here, if we scroll down, we can actually connect our application. An application, okay? So there are no apps in here, but we can connect one by selecting this web icon. You can select an iOS or Android if we were using native iOS or native Android development. We need to select these icons, but because we are using React Native, we are gonna select this web icon, okay? And the name of my application is going to be React Native Client, or you can name your app as you want. Now let's hit register application. And this is going to give us the credentials that we need to connect our React Native application to this backend project. And they also give us this command to install Firebase and everything that we need. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. Of course, you gotta make sure that you don't share these keys with anyone. Otherwise, they are going to be able to upload stuff to your bucket. So be careful. Now copy these credentials, and now let's go back to the Explorer. And as you can see here, as well, the build is done. So that was quick. And now I got this alert that says that if we want to open this application, I'm gonna say yes. And this is going to start loading the app, okay? I'm gonna minimize this for now. And the application is working. But a cool thing is that we are using the Expo Dev Client. And you can see that because here says Expo Development Client, which means that it's like this application, it's already on production. Okay, so let's hit got it. Let's just close this modal and we have this text. Cool. Nice. Now let's connect, or actually let's use these imports and keys to connect to our backend. For that, I'm going to create a new file called Firebase. You can it can be named Firebase config or Firebase, just Firebase. It doesn't really matter. And let's paste here all the things that we need for our application. Okay, now all my credentials are going to look like this. And yeah, hit save for now. Now, another thing that we need to do is that if you go to the Expo docs, you're gonna see that after you paste your configuration, you have this 3-step, which is configure metro. And for that, we're gonna need to run this command so we are able to modify this metro config file. Because well, if you didn't build your application, you won't see this metro config file. But because we build the application, this metro config file, it's here. So we can simply paste this code that I paste here. It's gonna look something like this. Once that is done, that's all we need. And I believe now we can actually just to make sure that everything is going to work, we need to restart the server because we made a change into the metroconfig.js. So we can just simply say npx expo run iOS again and wait a little bit until this is done again. Okay, so now we can close this. And I think this is all we need here. Okay, the application is running. So I'm going to make this a little bigger so we have some space. And now we're gonna be using storage, right? So let's import something from Firebase Storage. Because we install Firebase, we can access all these from the dependency. And now here we can say get storage, which is a function that is going to allow us to instantiate the reference to our storage on Firebase. Okay, now we're gonna be using as well something from Firebase Firestore. We are gonna be creating a record of every file that we save. Okay, and we're gonna need get Firestore, which is basically gonna do the same. Now, these two things need to take the application as a parameter in order to initialize everything. So we can say export const storage equal to get storage. And as you can see here, we need to pass the app as a parameter. And this app, it's this one here that has our credentials. Okay, let's do the same for the DB or the Firestore. You can name it as you want. I'm gonna say just DB for now and get Firestore and pass the app as well. Okay, now we can import this storage and DB in any component and start saving records and start uploading stuff. Cool. Now we can close this Firebase config file. We don't need to do anything there anymore. And let's actually go back to the app. And just to keep things a little cleaner, I'm going to create a new folder here, which is going to contain the screens that we're going to have. Although I think it's just going to be one, but that's okay. So screens, and inside screens, I'm going to create a new one, which is going to be home.js. This is going to be my main screen. And for this screen, I'm going to have some cool stuff here, okay? Now, let's just export default function this component. It's going to return for now. Let's put a view from React Native. And let's create a text from React Native that says home, just for now. Okay, hit save. Let's go back to the app.js file and actually delete everything. We are not going to be using all these things that come by default. And I'm just going to put my home component that I just created. And it's going to look something like this. And if I hit save, as you can see, if I make this home a little bigger, let's say font size, I don't know, 32, you're gonna see that this is up here, but yeah, it means that it's working. Now the next thing that I want to do is actually go to my Figma, and in my design I'm going to copy this SVG. Now in Figma you can do this just by clicking here with the right click and then copy and copy as SVG. Now, another cool thing that I want to show you guys is that there's this nice website called SVGR that can help you to transform SVGs to be compatible with React Native once you install the React Native SVG dependency, of course, okay? So here I'm going to select on the left side React Native, and we can remove these dimensions. Select React Native, and now delete this SVG that we have by default here. And you don't need to delete this. We can just paste down here the SVG that we just copied. And now on the right side, we can copy this component that is going to be available or compatible with React Native. So let's copy this. Make sure that you support Greg. This is the creator of this really nice tool. And yeah, so let's copy this and go back to the code. And inside my assets, I'm just going to create a new file, which is going to be svg.js. Just like that. I don't want to overthink everything. And I'm going to paste this SVG component just like that. Okay. This is going to be using, guys, if you don't know, the React Native SVG library that we installed earlier. So now if I go back to my home, and instead of rendering this home, I render my SVG component and hit save, wait a little bit, okay? And there we have it. Just like that, we have an SVG working perfectly with React Native. Okay guys, so I want to have this SVG component elsewhere, because we're gonna have all the logic or the business logic inside the home screen. So we can extract this in a component. So let's create a new folder here called components. And I'm going to put this out of the screens. There we go. Create a new file, and I'm going to call it empty state.js. Cool. Now, this empty state, it's going to be very similar to the home screen. I'm just going to rename this to be empty state, and everything is going to be exactly the same. Okay, hit save. And now if I go back to my home, and instead of rendering the SVG, I can render my empty state and delete this import, hit save. This is going to look exactly the same, but we can actually start adding some styles here. So I'm gonna say flex of 1, hit save, and then align items center, hit save, and justify content center. Okay. Now, I'm not sure why I'm not seeing my empty state, to be honest. Okay, guys, now we cannot see this SVG, and I believe it's because this is missing the width and height properties. I think that's because I unchecked that box. But yeah, if I provide this this width and height, we can actually see this SVG up here. Okay, now let me just make sure that I have this the correct way. Okay, so I added this. Now let's try to delete this. Okay, let's add a flex of 1, align items to the center, and justify content to the center. Okay, now something weird is happening, and I believe it's because this is inside this view, and this view it's too small. So let's add a flex of 1. Okay, there we go. That was a problem. Nice. Now let's add a text here, and my text, it's going to basically, if we go back to the Figma file, it's gonna say no photo uploaded yet, but this text is going to have a color gray. So I'm gonna put it down here like this. Okay, just like that. This is going to be our component for the empty state. Now we can use it here whenever we need it. Cool. Now we are going to need another component, guys. Whenever we are uploading a new image, we have this blur effect, right? Let's go back to the design. We select an image. Then we have this uploading screen. Everything in the back, it's blur. And the uploading, it's a blur as well. It's like an alert, but with blur. And it has a little image, uploading, and the bar, okay? Now, the progress bar, it's going to be another cool component that we are going to see in a moment. So inside this, give me 1 second. Yeah. So yeah, let's actually start by creating the progress bar. So for that, I'm going to create a new component inside my components, and I'm going to call it progress bar.js. Okay. Now this progress bar is going to be a really fun component. Of course, there's many libraries that you can use if you want to have a loading state in your application, but this progress bar, it's homemade, and that's what's cool about it. Okay, so let's actually start by importing React from React. I'm going to be using an SVG for this and a view from React Native. Okay, so let's import SVG, and as well, we are going to be using a rectangle from SVG. Okay, so React Native SVG. Cool. This is all we need to create this bar. So let's export the full function progress bar. Okay. Now, some important thing is that this progress component is going to take a progress, right? Which is going to be a number between 0 and 100. So we know when or how much progress do we have from everything, from anything that we're measuring, right? Okay, so now let's define some variables, but actually before I do that, I want to put my return. This is going to be a simple view, nothing crazy, but inside this view, I'm going to have my SVG. And inside this SVG, I'm going to have a rectangle, which is going to have a width, and as well, this SVG is going to have a width. So now we can declare this width here. I'm gonna say bar width, and this width is going to be equal to 230. You can play with these values as well. And we are gonna need another variable, which is gonna be the progress width. So we are gonna be using basically two rectangles, one on top of each other. One is gonna be gray, one is gonna be blue. And the blue one is gonna be moving on top of the gray, so it's going to have that effect. Okay. So for the width, we are going to grab the progress that we are passing as a property, and then we're going to divide this by 100, and then multiply this by the bar width. Okay, so we are going to start at 0, and then when the progress is 100, we are going to have 230 as the width of the progress bar. Okay, now let's pass this bar width to the SVG, and we're going to need a height as well. So the height is going to be 7, and the width here is going to be bar width as well in this rectangle, height of, now the height of this rectangle, because it's inside this SVG, we can say that we want to take 100%. Okay, now we can hit save, I think, and if I go to my home screen, and just down here we can put the progress bar, hit save. Now remember that we need to pass a progress, which is going to be a number, so let's say 50 for now. Okay, now the width of this rectangle is going to be 230, but we don't see anything because I haven't passed anything, any color, so I'm going to pass a gray color, which is going to be this hex color. Okay, and let's try to reload this. Maybe I think we should be able to see this this progress bar. I don't know why we don't see it. Oh yeah, I know. It's because we have this empty state that is taking everything, right? So if I center this, align item center, and justify content center. Okay, there we have it. Okay, that is our bar progress bar. Now I want to duplicate this one, and we're gonna have one on top of each other, one on top of another. But now this is going to be the progress width. Okay, and hit save. And an important thing here is that we need to change the color so we can actually see the difference. And yeah, that's it. Now, if I go to my home screen and change this 50 to be a 30 or 90 or 100, it's going to be completely filled. If I say 120, it's going to be the same. So we don't have to worry about that. Let's just leave it at 60 for now. Okay. Now I want this bar to be rounded, and we can do that easily just by adding a rounded X of 3.5, which is half of the height. I think so. And our Y, which is gonna be 3.5, and copy all this and paste it down here, hit save. And now this is a really nice progress bar that we can use in our application. Very nice. Now, another thing that we're going to be using is going to be the uploading screen or the uploading overlay that has that nice background blur. Now, for that, I'm going to create another component, and this component is going to be called uploading.js. Now, this is going to be a little complicated in terms of UI component. So let's start by importing some things that we're gonna need of React Native, which is gonna be an image, a button, style sheet, view, button, and a touchable opacity. Now, as well, here is where we are gonna be using the blur. So the blur dependency, React Native Community Blur, comes with a blur view, which allows us to have a blur view basically, and this vibrancy view that allows us to have like an overlay of blur, which is basically exactly what we need for this tutorial. Now, we are going to need as well the progress bar, and the progress bar is the one that we just created. Now let's export this component. It's going to be called uploading, and it's going to be a function component. Okay. And this component is going to take some things as properties. Remember that when we are uploading a picture or a video, we want to show the image or the video in a little thumbnail and then show the progress, right? So we're going to need to pass the image the video and progress as well. So we know how much progress, and once the progress is ready, we can stop rendering this uploading component. Okay, so now let's return this view, and this view is going to have basically just the vibrancy view. So the vibrancy view can be put like this, and then we can add a style. So we want this vibrancy view to fill the whole space on screen. So I'm gonna say style, and we can say from style sheet of React Native here, we can access this method that it's called absolute fill. This is going to fill the whole screen no matter what. Okay, this is like a shortcut for giving it a position absolute, and then with 100%, height 100%. This is like a shortcut that comes with style sheet from React Native. Okay, now we're gonna need something similar in the container. So I'm gonna paste this here, and then I want to have everything that I have inside this view centered. So we can say align item center, but I'm going to need to open another curly braces because I have an array of styles here. So let's say align item center, then justify content center. And I believe that's all we need for now. I'm just gonna give it a Z index of 1. Okay, now if I hit save, and let's just put this uploading component here just to see what happens. If I put this component in my home, you're gonna see that we have this blur. Now, everything that is behind this progress bar, it's gonna be blur. Now, we can choose between many type of blurs that comes with this vibrancy view. So let's actually play with the styles. So we can say blur type, and I'm gonna choose, you can choose between all these styles, you can play with them, but for now I'm gonna choose the one that is ultra thin material dark, hit save. Now this is a little clear, as you can see. You can also select, for example, light, and this is gonna be a very light blur effect. We can barely see the progress bar behind this view, but yeah, we have this really nice view. Now, after this vibrancy view, on top of this vibrancy view, we want to have another view that has another blur. Let me show you the design here. We want to have this view, okay? So this little blur view is going to contain the progress bar, the cancel button, the uploading text, and then the image. Okay, so now let's actually do that. I'm gonna use a blur view for now, and this blur view is going to have an image. Okay, so I want to validate if we have an image, we want to show an image. Okay, and this image is gonna be passed as property. Now, this image is gonna be from React Native. Now, I don't want to waste too much of your time, guys. I'm just gonna copy this image here. I'm giving it a width of 100, height of 100, resizing mode contain, and border radius 6. Now let's hit save, and actually let's pass an image to this image, okay, to this component. So how can we do that? Well, we can select an image and then pass it here, okay? But before we do that, I want to render a video if we have a video, okay? And for that, I'm gonna use this video from AV, okay? So this is a video player, basically, from AV, Expo AV. And whenever we have a video as property, it means that we are uploading a video, so we can show the video in this little view. So yeah, I'm giving it this this size, but I can change it to be 200 for 200, like this. Okay, And I don't think I need the native controls. Okay. Now, just try to see, guys, that we are rendering an image if we are uploading an image, and we are render a video if we are uploading a video. That's why we have this validation here. Cool. Now we're gonna need as well a text after this. So let me just scroll a little more. And this text is going to be saying uploading ... And for the style of this, it's gonna be font size of 12. If I hit save, you can see that we have the uploading and the blur effect. Now this view, it's too small, we don't see anything. But now I'm going to create a cancel button. It's just a touchable opacity. As you can see here, we have a text that says cancel, font weight 500, color blue, font size 17, and I'm gonna need a separator. Okay, so we need a line to draw a line between these views. But before I do that, I want to give a styles to my blur view because we cannot see anything at this point. So inside this blur view, I'm gonna say style, and for the width of this view, I want to take 70% of the screen. Okay, now the height of this view can be set manually, but can also be set by the items inside this view. For now, let's say height of 200 just to style everything. And we can say align items to the center and padding vertical of 16. Save. Okay, everything is looking good. Now I want a gap of 12. Hit save. We have that nice spacing between items. And yeah, so this blur effect, it's super black. We don't want that for this specific view. So we can select a blur type. And for now, I'm gonna say light. Okay, that's light, but we don't see anything. And that's because it's the same color as the vibrancy blur. So I'm gonna change the vibrancy blur to be ultra thin material dark. So now we have this nice effect. Now I forgot to add the border radius of 14 here. And now we can add the space between the cancel button and the uploading. For that, I'm gonna use a simple view that I'm going to put right before this cancel. This view is gonna take a style. It's just basically a border width of hairline width, which is another property that we can take from stylesheet.hairline width. And the width is gonna be 100%. Border color is gonna be like a black with 20 opacity. If I delete the 20, you're gonna see that line there, but I want to have that nice opacity. Cool. Now, this is looking like that because we don't have an image at this point, but I don't want to have this height hard-coded. I want to have this height to be dynamic changing depending on the items that we have inside this blur. So for example, if we have, let's say that this text has a font size of, I don't know, let's say 40, it's gonna change the size, okay? Let's say 100, the height of the window or the height of this view is changing dynamically depending on the things that we have inside of it, okay? So let's put back this to 12. Let's just leave it for now. When we pass the image, it's going to render the image. We already know that. Okay, so let's go home again. And now we can actually start implementing everything we need to start, I don't know, picking up some images, okay? So to start picking up some images, I'm going to create a button. And for this button, I'm gonna use a touchable opacity and some icons. So let me just copy this icon that I have here. I'm gonna be using iron icons from the icons of Expo, vector icons. Okay, And I'm gonna be using a touchable opacity and all that good stuff from React Native. So let's add those imports here and delete this one. Okay, cool. So let's use this touchable opacity to create this nice button. So actually to save some time, I'm going to copy these buttons down here and paste them. Hit save. And yeah, of course, we don't have these functions for now. I'm just going to comment. Okay. Now, as you can see, something happened. We have something behind this blur view. Let's comment this uploading. Okay, and there we have it. So I created these two buttons. They are not doing anything at the moment, but I created them using a touchable opacity. They have a position absolute. That's why they are positioned at the bottom 90, right 30, and the other one is going to be bottom 150, and right 30. Okay, background black, and they have an icon inside of them. This one is going to be a video cam of size 24, color white. Okay, this is what we are seeing down there. Okay, so now we can minimize these buttons for now. Okay, now let's actually start selecting some images. Okay, so for that, we're going to be using Expo Image Picker. Okay, and we added that dependency at the beginning as well. If you remember, I'm going to paste here this import from React Native. Now, inside this, we can create a function that is going to handle to pick an image. Okay, now if I make this a little bigger, you're gonna see that we have this pick video and then pick image. So let's create this function pick image. This function is gonna look like this function pick image, and then this function is going to just request access to the library of the device. So we're gonna save the result of the access here. I'm gonna say await, which means that I have to change this this function to be asynchronous. So let's await for the result. Let's access the image picker dot launch image picker async, and this is going to take some properties that we can specify. So for example, the media type, and this is going to be something important for this application because we only want to select images. So we can say media type options dot images, and we have the option to select images and videos, but because we cannot render a video within an image component, we need to separate these two, right? So we know that we are selecting images or we are selecting videos, and we can handle these files accordingly. Okay, so let's select images. Then we can say allows editing equal to true. Then we can specify the aspect ratio of the image. Basically, you're gonna see, most of the time, you're gonna see 3 or 4. And then we can also select the quality. So if you don't want to handle really heavy images, you can put down the quality a little bit. So for example, you can say 0.2, which is going to lower the quality of the image. If you want the max quality, you can set this to be 1. And yeah, I'm gonna leave this like that for now. Now, everything that happens inside here is going to give us this result. And now we can access this result, and then we can check if the result wasn't canceled. So I'm gonna say if the user didn't cancel the picker, we can set an image. So I'm going to set an image using React use state. Okay, so let's say image and set image. So this is going to return us a URL that we can use to render the image. So let's use state from React. And for now, let's just put an empty string. So I'm going to duplicate this because we're going to need one for the video as well. The video, guys, is going to be a link as well. So, oops, video. Okay, so it's going to be a link, so we need to reference that link so later we can grab this file and upload it to the store. Cool. So now here, and we can set the image from the result. Now the result is going to come inside these assets. And the reason assets it's an array, it's because we can select multiple images at the same time. If you go back here to the options, you can select multiple, allows multiple selection. For now, I'm just gonna go simple with just one file, but you can select multiple. That's why I'm going to select the one at the position 0 because we only have one, okay? Then this is all the information that we can access from this file. Height, type, URI, width, file, duration. I believe we also have the file size, which is really cool to know. I would recommend, guys, that you save all this information in your database so you can reference everything that you need of each file in the record that you are saving. Okay, anyways, I'm gonna need the URI for now and the URI, and then after we got the URI, we can upload the image, okay? And we're gonna see how we can do that in a moment. Let's hit save for now, and let's try to pick an image. Okay, I'm going to press this button, and if I wait a little bit, you're gonna see that the library is opening. Cool. Now, we are setting an image whenever we press continue, right? So that is going to trigger this uploading, okay? Because we're going to upload the image. After we select the image, we are going to start uploading, which means that we want to show this overlay blur and start showing the progress of the upload. So I can put here, if I have an image, then I want to render this uploading. Okay, so let's select an image. Let's select this one. We can choose it. It's uploading. Of course, we don't see anything at the moment because we don't have anything, right? And now I was forgetting, in the uploading thing here, we are not seeing the progress bar, and we need the progress bar here. So let's add the progress bar, and let's say progress to be hard-coded 59 for now. Now, this progress is going to be passed as property now that I remember, so we can change this progress to be progress. So it's going to be empty for now. Now, after we finish uploading the image, we want to set this image to be null or to be an empty string, so we don't keep showing this blur effect forever. So let's reload. Now the image is going to be an empty string, so that's why we don't see the blur effect. But now let's actually upload the image. How can we upload an image? Well, we are going to be using the same function to upload videos and images, and you can basically use the same function to upload anything. But for now, just images and videos. I'm going to call this function. This is going to be an asynchronous function. It's going to be called upload image equal to, well, it's going to be a function. Now, this function needs to difference between images and videos because we're going to be generating a video we're going to be saving records in the database. So when we pull these records from the database, we know if the link of this resource or this file, it's an image or it's a video. If it's an image, we are going to render a basic image from React Native. But if it's a video, we are going to be using AV from Expo AV to play the video. Okay, so yeah, we are going to need to pass the URI, the file type, which is image or video, and then we can upload this to Firebase. Now, a cool thing that we can do here it's do a fetch request. So I'm gonna say await fetch, and using the URI of the image that is saved locally on the device, I'm going to get a response. Now, here you can have, I would say, a better validation here. So if the response, it's okay and all that, but I'm just going to assume that everything is gonna work perfectly for now. I want to change this response to be a blob. What is a blob? And I wanna write it here. This is a blob. A blob is a file like object of immutable raw data. So BLOV stands for binary large object, that it's frequently used when we are dealing with images, videos, and whatever large file like PDFs as well. So you want to change this data to be a blob so you can send it to anywhere through HTTP, right? So I'm gonna say const blob. I'm gonna change this response or this image to be a blob, which is gonna be a bunch of data, numbers, or just characters. And we can simply do that by saying response.blob. Like we do when we do .json, in this case, it's gonna be blob. So we can send this blob to the storage. Now, we need a reference to the storage. So I'm gonna say storage ref, and we are going to need a ref. Now, we're using the SDK, if you remember, so we're gonna need to import some things from Firebase, and I'm gonna do that down here. I'm gonna import something from Firebase. In this case, it's going to be Firebase Storage. Now, we are referencing the bucket here, but we are gonna need as well to reference the database. So I'm gonna need to import from Firestore some things, okay? Now, let's start with the storage. We're gonna need the reference. We're going to need the upload bytes resumable, then get download URL, okay? And that's it. So ref is gonna help us to reference the bucket, then upload bytes resumable. It's a really nice function that is going to help us to upload an image or video, and it's going to give us information of the upload, like the progress or if something goes wrong. And then get download URL, it's going to give us the URL that we can use to reference the data or the images or videos, okay? Okay, so now we want to create a record every time we upload something to the storage, right? So we're gonna need add document because we want to add a document to a collection. And then we need to know when we add something to the database so we can show it to the user right away. So this on snapshot function, it's a really cool function that allows us to subscribe to events. So whenever something happens in the database or in a specific collection of data that we have on Firestore, we can do something on the code. So whenever we add a file, I want to add that new file to my array of images and videos that I'm showing to the user. So it seems that it happened instantaneously. Okay, instantly, sorry. Okay, so now that we have that, we can actually upload the image. So let's go back here. We need the reference to the storage, right? So let's call ref. Now, ref is gonna take my storage. If you remember, when we created this Firebase config, we generated this storage, which basically is the reference to our storage. So we can import this storage and use it here from Firebase, as you can see here. Hit enter. Now, URL, the URL in which you want to save this data. Now, I want to save this in a folder called stuff. So I can specify a name like this. Now, I want to add something unique for each record that I'm saving. So I'm gonna say new date dot get time like this. Okay, so this is going to give me a unique number, and then I want to upload. So I'm gonna say upload task. It's gonna be equal to, we have the reference, we have the name, so we can call the function upload byte presumable. We are going to pass the storage ref, which is this thing that we created up here. And then after that, we are going to need to pass the actual file. So what we want to upload, we are going to pass the blob. This is the blob, and it's looking like this. Okay, cool. So now we are uploading at this point. We need to listen for events so we can give feedback to the user of what's happening. Okay, so we can access the upload task variable that we just created. And this has a lot of methods that you can use, and you can check out the documentation if you want to learn more about these functions that you can call whenever you are uploading something. So we are going to be using on, and on has an state change, and this is going to allow us to do some things, right? So I'm going to say snapshot. This is going to be a callback function, which is going to retrieve or give us the progress of what we're doing, right? So let's say progress is going to be equal to, and here we're going to say snapshot bytes transferred. I mean, bytes that are being transferred currently, okay? And then snapshot dot total bytes. So we are going to divide the bytes that are transferred between the bytes in total. Okay, so we divide that and then we multiply it by 100, so we get the percentage. Okay, now after that we can just, let's say, console log progress like this, and then we pass the progress. Cool. Now this progress is going to be a percentage, so we can write it like this. I'm just going to copy this line from here. Yeah, so upload is percentage $. Then another cool thing that we can do here is like set progress. Now, yeah, I forgot to create this variable up here. So let's duplicate this. We're going to need a progress var and set progress, so we can pass down this property to the progress bar, so the progress bar is going to animate. So let's start the progress to be 0. Let's put the progress down here in the uploading. Let's pass the progress. Yeah, and I'm going to delete this progress bar that I have here just to play with. Yeah, so uploading has the progress, and we are going to be uploading the progress here. So I'm going to say set progress equal to progress dot. I want to fix this because it's going to come with a lot of decimals. So I just want to have a fixed number. So we can say to fix. Now, this is what on does. Okay. Now we can access another method here. And I'm going to do that here. So I'm going to say comma and then error. So we can have a callback if something goes wrong. Handle error, for example, and then finally complete. So we can have another callback function when everything is complete. The file was successfully uploaded, so we can do something. Now we can call this function get download URL. We are going to pass the upload task dot snapshot dot ref. Then we can have a callback function that is going to be asynchronous, that is going to return us the download URL. So I'm going to create this callback like this, and the URL is going to come here. So download URL, Yeah. So yeah, this is going to return us the URL, so we can save it in the Firebase in the Firebase documents, right? In our database. Okay, so we can save record. Of course, we're gonna need a function for that. Save record. And then what we want to do is set the image to be an empty string, and then set video, because it could happen that we are uploading a video. So if we set this to be an empty string, we are going to stop showing the blur view. Okay. Now, let's just skip this for now. Let's just put down here a console log that says file available at, and then we put the download link. Okay. And let's actually see if this works. So let's just double check that we have the image here. We are gonna need to pass the image as well here, and we're gonna need to pass the video as well if we have a video. Hit save. Now let's just double check that everything is done correctly. I believe so. So let's select an image. Let's select this one. We can actually do some editing because we said here that we want to allow editing. Yeah, so let's just choose this photo. You're gonna see that we are uploading the image, but now something is happening. So nothing is going on. I don't know why. I believe that I'm not even calling this upload image function. That's funny. So let's upload the image here. Yeah, after we select the image, we want to upload the image. Then we need to pass the URL, the URI. So the URI is here, as you can see. And then we need to pass the file type. Now in this function, we know that we are selecting images only. So I'm gonna say image. This is the type of this file. Okay. Now this is going to be so this is gonna be an async function. So we need to say await. Yeah. So let's reload this and select an image. Let's select the same one. Make some zoom here so we can choose this one. Yeah. And as you can see, like magic, we have these logs down here that says 0, 23, 20, 71, and 100% done. We saw the loading image or the loading blur effect, and then we can actually, we just need to save the reference, because after that we could just grab this link and save it somewhere locally, or I don't know, but it's best that if you save this URL somewhere else. So now, for example, if I just copy this and let's come back here. Well, we can just hard code it here. If I paste this on the image, hit save, you're gonna see that we have the image, but this image is going to be, it's being pulled from Firebase, from the bucket. Okay, so let's remove this. Now, let's go back to Chrome. Let's go back to the project, go to the console here. If we go to storage, you are going to see that we have this stuff folder, and then inside this stuff folder, we have this image, which is pretty cool, right? Now, let's actually see if we can do this with videos. Let's try to upload a video. So for that, we're gonna need a function really similar to this one. So I'm going to copy this one and paste it here. Now I'm going to minimize my console. And if you remember, we have this button here that says pick video. So let's copy this name and use it here. So now we're picking a video. Instead of selecting images, we're gonna select videos, allow editing, everything is gonna be the same. But an important thing here, guys, is that when you are uploading videos, usually videos are heavy. So you can access here some properties that, call video quality, that allows you to set the quality of the video. So if you put a low quality, you are not going to deal with super large files. Cool. So now everything is going to be the same here. We don't need to change anything. But when we upload the image here, it's going to work the exact same way. But now I want to say that this is a video. Okay. Of course, we are not using this yet, but let's just leave it like that. Okay. Now let's select a video. Okay, it's working. We just have videos here. We can play this. We can even edit these videos. We can cut it. Let's just cut it for like this and select it. Now this is gonna take a lot more time. You can see we have these events. And once that is done, we can go to the Chrome and reload. And there we have it. So we have this video and you can see the type here as well. And you could actually grab the type from this response. But yeah, I would say that our approach to save the type file could be better. Or I'm not sure, but I think could be better just for this small project, because now then we can validate if the file is an image or video. But yeah, so we are saving videos now. Now the only thing that we are missing is that we need to save the record. Okay, so how can we do that? We are going to need to create a function that is going to create a new document on our Firestore database. This is going to be an async function, and I'm going to call this function save record. This is going to take the file type. It's going to take the URL of the image or video that we are saving and the created at. Okay. Of course, you can save many things, like the name of the image, the name of the video, the place in which the picture was took, or I don't know, whatever. But yeah, let's do a try catch. Let's try to do this the correct way. If we have an error, we can just put it on console for now. And inside this try catch, we can actually upload the stuff. So I'm gonna say doc reference. We're gonna need a reference, wait, add doc. And this add doc, if you remember, we imported all these from Firebase, Firestore. Yeah, there we go. So let's go back here. We are gonna add a document to a collection. Then here we need to provide the database. So from my Firebase configuration, I'm going to import my DB. Then I'm going to just save files, because I want to save this in a collection called files. Now, an important thing to notice here is that if you don't have a collection here in your database, for example, you can start a collection here manually, but if you don't have one, so for example, here I could say stuff and create my collection and then put things inside that collection. But if I don't have anything specified, it's going to be created when we add the first file there. Okay, so it's going to be called files. Then we can specify what we want to save, right? So I want to say the file type, the URL, so we can reference this image or video later, and then the created at, so which is the date or when the file or the picture was took. Now here we can say console log document saved correctly, for example, and then we can also add the docref.id, and yeah, that's it. So hit save, and this function should save the record. Now let's try to do that here. After we upload the image, we can say await save record. We can pass the file type, which in this case is going to be an image, then the URL, and the URL it's going to yeah, so this is going to be a little tricky because we cannot access the URL at this point, because here we are just picking the video. So the place in which we want to save the image, it's in this function upload image after we save the record. Okay, so here I'm going to paste this function. And yeah, so the file type is going to be changing dynamically. Remember that we are getting this file type as a parameter up here. And then we are getting the URL. So the URL is going to be this download URL. So I can just paste it here. And then I can specify the date. Now the date is going to be just a new date. So I want to say new date to isostring and hit save. Okay, so this should actually save a record every time we upload an image or video. Now let's minimize this and let's try to upload another image. Let's choose this one. It's uploading. Let's wait a little bit. It's done. Now, okay, so check this out, guys. We have a missing insufficient permissions. Let's go back to Chrome. Let's select the database. Let's come to rules. And I think that I can change this allowed to be true and then publish. Okay, so let's come back here, select another image, choose. Let's wait. Okay, so it worked. So we needed to change the rules. And now if I go to my Firestore, you're gonna see that we have this record and now we have the URL here. Cool, so this is working as expected. Now guys, another cool thing that we can do with my favorite function of Firebase on snapshot, it's basically listen to be listening for events. Okay, and for that I'm going to be using a use effect from React. Use effect is going to take a function, a callback function, and then an array of dependencies that is going to allow you to specify. I'm importing these things here and I'm going to put it up here. It's going to allow you to specify I don't know, variables that whenever those variables change, you can run the code that is inside this function. Okay, so let's create a subscription here so we can listen to when we add stuff to the database, we right away pull it back and show it to the user. So let's call this unsubscribe as convention. Subscribe. I don't know how to write unsubscribe. Then we can say on snapshot, which is the function. Then we need to pass a collection. So I'm going to specify my DB and then my collection, which is files. Then we need to specify an observer. An observer is going to be a callback function basically that is going to return the snapshot. So let's say snapshot. The snapshot is the information of the record or whatever is happening that happens. So they are going to give us the snapshot. From the snapshot, we can access the docChange function and then iterate for each change. And if change, it's if change.type it's equal to added, what we want to do is a simple console log that says new file. Now we can also put in the console the change.doc.data, and this is going to console doc the data, but we want to save the files as well. So we know that the files are going to be URLs. So I'm going to create this array of files using useState. And then here I can just simply say set files equal to, and I want to to update this right away. So we can do that by accessing the previous files and then put everything that we had before in the previous files plus the change.doc.data. Okay, so if I went too fast here, let me just explain a little bit what we are doing here. We are subscribing to changes on the files collection. Which files collection? This files collection. Okay. So when something is added to this collection, we want to grab that in this snapshot. We want to iterate over the files that were added, which should be one at a time. Then we want to add this file that was added to my array of files that I'm going to be displaying to the user. Okay, cool. Now this subscription is going to be running all the time that this component is mounted. But whenever we unmount this component, we need to clean this function. Otherwise, this subscription is going to be running on the background, and it can cause bad performance issues. Okay, so we can run a cleanup function here, and I'm going to say unsubscribe. Okay, and that's it. Cool. So now we can simply show the files that we are going to be getting, right? And to do that, we can use a flat list. So I'm going to minimize this a little bit, and I'm going to put my flat list here. Flat list, if you don't know what is a flat list, I would recommend that you check my React Native course or the React Native documentation. But basically, it's a scroll view that contains data. Okay, so the data that we want this scroll view to contain is going to be the files. We need to specify some things here, like the key extractor. The key extractor is going to return us the item, so we can specify which attribute we can use as key. So as key, I'm going to use the URL. Then we can render an item actually. So for that, we actually get this item here like this. We are destructuring this item, and then we are going to return a component for each item. Now, this component is going to be a simple image from React Native, and the source for this image is going to be a URI. So we can open double curly braces, then say your URI, and from the item we can grab the URL. Cool. Now I'm going to need to specify a style because we need to specify a width. The width is going to be 34%. You can play with this, of course, and the height is going to be 100. Now, if I hit save, nothing is going to happen. And I believe that this should show something at this point. Let me see if I'm missing something. Of course, yeah. Remember, guys, so the items that we are going to be grabbing, let me just put it on console here, reload the application. Yeah, so we are getting the files that we have in the database, but something is happening here. We are not displaying this. I believe it's because we have this style. So let me remove it. Yeah, there we have it. Okay. So yeah, something to notice here is that every time we hit save, we are creating this request, which is going to duplicate the files, right? So yeah, there we have it. Now we need to add some style here. And another thing is that we are not seeing the video that we uploaded. And yeah, a funny thing here is that we need to validate if the item file type, remember that we created the file type, it's equal to image. We want to render an image, right? But otherwise, we want to render a video. Now, I'm going to cut this return and paste it here. And then we can actually just copy this, or well, just to don't make this video too large, I can just copy this, which is gonna be just the video, as you can see here. And this video, we need to import it from AV of Expo. So let's go up here and import video from Expo AV. So yeah, so another thing that we are missing is that, Load image. Yeah, when we pick a video, oh yeah, we are doing that. So we are picking a video, we are uploading, this is type video. Yeah, everything is working fine. Sure, so I think this should be working. Okay guys, let's try to reload everything. I'm going to, oh yeah, something is wrong with our style. So yeah, I think I need to provide this style flex that we had here before. Okay, yeah, there we go. So we have now these buttons. I'm going to select the video, choose this one. This should create a record of this video. Now, don't pay too much attention to the keys. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, so now we have the data. Cool. Okay, and if I reload, we have those two items, okay? Now, let's select a couple of images just to show that this is working perfectly. Let's try to upload as many files as possible. Of course, guys, you need to make some improvements when, like for example, with the subscription, maybe you need to validate that, well, this is gonna work perfectly with the user because they are not gonna be restarting the application every 2 seconds. And as you can see, this is working perfectly. But whenever we change something here in React Native, the component is re-render. That's why we are doing the fetch every time. But yeah, maybe you can do something about that. Let's actually select another video. And I believe my gigabyte of data is gonna be used soon. So before I actually run out of memory, I want to add some styling to my flat list. So here we can specify the number of columns, and I'm going to say 3. Then we can also specify a container style, and I want a nice separation between items, so I'm going to say gap of 2. And then column, for each column I want the same separation, so I'm going to say column wrapper style equal to gap number 2. Hit save. Now this is going to give us an error. That's expected because we cannot change the number of columns in the error. But now after we re-render, this is going to look like this. Cool, this is pretty nice and it's working perfectly. We can keep uploading videos and images. And yeah, everything is working as expected. It's safe. Now you can build a really cool application with this technology. And the cool thing about this is that we have this nice and beautiful blur view whenever we are uploading an image. Let's check this out. You can see the background images behind the blur, which looks amazing to me. And yeah, guys, I think this is all we are gonna be seeing in this video. Okay guys, that's it. That's all we're gonna see for now. Let me know in the comments if you have questions, if you want me to touch anything that I didn't mention here. Remember that if you want the code, you can go to codewithbeto.dev and check out the projects, check out the React Native course. If you want to support this channel, please subscribe, give it a like, and leave me a comment down below. And otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.